Whenever Brooks Koepka's in the lead.
Ooh.
I was so worried. It's like, I'm gonna come home and he's gonna already have done a swan dive off of something,
Off the bridge.
All the LIV golfers that made Chuck jump.
Please, let's save that for the show because I got some words. Good afternoon, everybody. The clap is already gone, isn't it, Larry? Okay. My name is Chuck
I've never
Burge.
had the clap.
Oh, there it is. My name is Chuck Burge. We're on Three Guys Who Love Sports. And welcome to a wonderful Wednesday here at Miller's Ale House. As I said, my name is Chuck Burge. I'm here with my co-host, Mr. Robert Kinney.
Who's never had the clap.
Welcome back from vacation.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, Larry, make sure Robert gets the clap at some point in time, okay?
No, I don't need the clap.
Make it later.
I've made it.
There
I've
you
made
go.
it this long without
You
it.
got it.
Now I've got the
So
clap.
I'll tell you a little bit about our show. Our show is to support guys that are going through physical and mental issues, and if we can help take their mind off what they're going through for an hour, and you can help somebody through what they're going through for an hour, and we all help one another, this world will be a better place. And as we do every week, we'll start off with a Miller's Ale House commercial, and we're welcome back for the second time, Mr. Alex. Alex, welcome back, buddy.
Thank you. It is good to be back on.
What's happening up at the front door?
Nothing much. We have a lot of parties coming in tonight, but hopefully it's going to be a pretty easy shift. But
Is that a pretty common thing? A lot of big parties?
usually not, but today we just have a lot. But
What
it's all
are,
right. It's
what
going
are
to be a
the
great
parties involved?
shift. I don't even know. There's going to be like 25 people in one of them, 15 in another. That's all I've been told at least. So wish me luck.
So you'll make sure you'll say, hey, make sure you stick in and listen to the show. for a
Oh,
minute, right?
exactly. You got to pop your ear in.
There
and
you
just
go.
listen to what you guys
And-
are saying.
I like this guy.
He's great, and he's got one of the toughest jobs in the world because he has to stand right by the front door. And on a beautiful day like this, he's almost like a puppy dog who's just looking outside. Like I could almost run. I could just run and be out of here.
Freedom is 6 feet away.
I like
so
that.
close.
Do we ask you before, what's your favorite thing to eat here?
You guys did. It was the Mountain Melt.
That's
just
right,
my
the
go-to.
Mountain Melt.
It's
Yep,
easy.
yep.
So easy.
I think that's one of the only things I have not had. I'm trying something new tonight.
Go tonight, yeah.
I'm going. No, I've already ordered. I'm going Cajun tonight.
Okay. What season or sauces are you getting on it?
I have no idea.
Have you done the Cajun?
I don't think I have.
Yeah, I'm a pretty much creature of habit. There are not too many things that I do. I've had a few things. I've had the nachos, great taste, but I didn't sleep well that night.
No.
Some nasty stuff.
Oh, Lord.
The nacho was invented with leftover food. I mean, that's how it came to be. So.
Is it really?
Yeah, I mean,
Our food critic, Mr. Robert Kinney, in for
thank you.
tonight.
I like nachos. Now,
I do
it's
too,
not made.
typically.
It's not made with leftover food here at Miller's, just for the record.
Absolutely. Thank you for clarifying that. Alex didn't do that. for
Hey,
us.
it's always fresh.
Always fresh.
Everything's
always
fresh at Miller's Ale House.
And you know what else is fresh?
Especially the bartender. He's Sean. He's very fresh.
And what else is fresh is Alex's smile when you walk in the front door. You get to see that.
Welcome
every
in.
Time.
Welcome
There you
in.
go.
Yeah. Hey, did they tip Maitre D? Is that what your title is?
What was that?
Maitre D. Is that what your title
Said
is?
it-
Something,
said-
yeah.
Yeah.
At a different.
You get tipped?
No, I do not. I get out.
Well, we need to change that.
Hey, you go talk to the general manager.
We'll see what we can do. We'll see what we can do. Well, Alex, thanks for sitting in with us for a minute, budde.
Thank you for having me on again. It's
Adam
always a
almost
pleasure.
tripped over again. All right, so we're going to bring in our guest for today, Mr. Mark Ferris from McEachern High School. Mark taught. Listen to him clap for me, Mark. That's amazing.
It sounds like Robert. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, so that's cool. So Mark also taught basketball, coached basketball at Sequoia High for how many years?
I was there for 27 and coached there for 17. I coached 28 seasons total in Georgia.
Where did you coach before that?
I was at Pinewood Christian Academy. I was at Calvary Baptist down in Savannah for a while, 3 years. Then I went to Claxton High School and Evans County near Statesboro, not too far from
the fruit,
yeah.
the Claxton fruit cakes, right?
That's it. We weren't all nutty. Yeah, exactly. And had a good year there. But anyway, when they opened Sequoia in 1990, I am a charter chief. Yeah,
A
exactly.
charter chief.
Very
That's what it
nice.
is. Sequoia Chiefs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we had some good teams. 1988, we were state champions, so that was, we've had some good times playing.
They didn't have Sequoia wasn't around when you and I were in school.
No.
There weren't that many high schools.
No, there weren't. It was in fact, your
There
senior
weren't
year,
as many people, Chuck.
your senior year there was Cherokee High School.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
We
then-
didn't play them, but yeah.
Right. Then they had Etowah. I think Etowah opened in '75.
Oh, was it?
And,
Was it that soon after?
Yeah,
Wow.
75, 76, and then Sequoia was the third high school, and now they have 6 high schools in Cherokee County.
It's crazy.
That's
you
wild.
know, 20 years from now, they'll be another 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's absolutely true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if you won the state championship, you must have been the master coach. Oh, speaking of the Masters, let's get into some golf.
Great segue.
I just want to start.
I got
by
that from
saying,
Al Bundy, I think.
Hey, oddly enough, it's Ed O'Neill's birthday today.
Is it really?
And I was born in the exact same hospital as he.
Not
we're
s-
both,
not
we're both
same
from
day.
Youngstown, Ohio. What do you know?
Yeah, I like Ed O'Neill. He's a good guy. 4 touchdowns in one season. Oh, in one game. One game, yeah. All right, so what do we think about the Masters? How did you feel about Tiger? Let's start with that.
I'm a huge Tiger guy. I wish he could do it. You know, I laugh whenever everybody says, you know, these guys need to start riding carts. Every time anybody's ever said that, I laugh at that notion. But it's okay for Tiger because I really like Tiger.
There was
You know,
one guy. Was it
there was the
Casey
guy with-
Martin? Was that his name?
That's exactly who it was.
Yeah.
But you know, Casey Martin was, what's
Ill.
I don't know. Well, I was gonna say, at the level to barely make it on the tour in the first place.
Yeah.
So you know, it was a big difference for him. But
It was. But again, I commend Tiger. I was not a Tiger fan 10 years ago. I'm now a Tiger fan. God bless him for what he's been through and what he's accomplished through all the trials and tribulations with his back and his wreck. He has become someone that my son Chip has a friend that says Tiger is the coolest man on the planet. I said, I'm still not going to go along with that, but he's pretty cool. So
You know, it was a perfect storm, I think, for him in a bad way. Obviously, the storms are bad. It was cold weather. It was wet, and and all the conditions didn't favor having to walk the undulation of Augusta National up and down. Yeah, it was
it's a tough course.
It was very, very hard to watch him limp, and he wasn't trying to limp. You know,
No.
such a competitor.
Absolutely, probably one of the greatest competitors. I felt badly for him. I really did. But
you know, ATI and Chuck were talking about those exact same things before the show, and you know, kind of like the Goldilocks theory. You know, if everything's perfect, he could show up at any given point. But you know, the other problem is that we all want him to win a major, and those are the longest courses, so it's never going to be that
let's
easy.
not say we all want him to win a major.
Well,
Most people would like him if
Yeah.
he's you know,
If you're not
doing
trying to
well.
keep him short of Jack.
yeah, I tell you, 47 years old, he's getting there's a shelf life even on a healthy body, but with all the arthritis and all the breaks and all the put back together and all the medical things he's had, it's really tough. And to be at that level and being such a competitor, he just can't reconcile. Withdrawing for him was very, very difficult. However, you don't want to outplay your legacy.
It was the right thing to do.
It was,
Yeah,
yeah.
and I hate to say that. I mean, like Zalatoris pulled out before the tournament, and I said on the show last week he's got a bad back. I didn't think he would pull out, but he's gone for the rest of the year. He had
Yeah,
surgery.
And you know, you made a great point. The other point would be on his body is he's been swinging harder than anybody. You know, nobody ever swung as hard as Tiger. So you put in all those, and
Right.
the shoulders, the back, the legs, the hips.
But you have to admit that the press still kowtow to him no matter what. Oh, Tiger's got all the shots. If he can just walk the course, he doesn't have all the shots, and he proved that. He made
He
made some bad. Can I finish my sentence? He made some bad swings over the way. And even when they makes a bad swing, they make excuses for him. And I'm not saying it's wrong because there are people that worship Tiger, and I love the guy. I'm just not one that worships him and thinks every shot he hits is great. So, I mean, I saw him make some bad swings, and he admitted he made some bad swings. But there's always a reason. There's always an excuse, and that's the one part I don't like about the press covering Tiger.
I get that.
He looked on Thursday at least. He looked good. Like he was one under or 2 under.
Yep.
On his round. So I think he still has all the tools. He just
I don't disagree with that at all.
No, he does. It's just so taxing on the body, and obviously,
Right.
as we were talking about, a golfer who's, if you're Joe Schmo, there's 12 people who are watching your group going along. His is like
then
a
the other
paparazzi.
600,000 are
It's a
following
Lady
Tiger.
Gaga concert walking around with him. So
Yeah.
Pretty
So, good for Tiger. I don't know what holds. Is the PGA next in May? Is
Yes.
that right? PGA is next in May. So we'll see if Tiger can hold up for that. Hope so. Like I said, I'd like to see him in the tournament. But let's give kudos to John Rahm. I was telling him before you got here, Mark, that I'd liked John Rahm all along, but after watching his press conferences and last week, I really like John Rahm.
Right.
Class act.
Oh, absolutely, and a family man, and just heartwarming, good image for golf. The family right there on 18 as he's about to get the jacket, and that was a good moment. That reminiscent of Phil in 06, hence the hat here. The 06 Masters. When his wife was going through breast cancer at that time, and then embraced her, and she came out for that one hole, and essentially, and anyway, it was a great story.
I really thought his little curly-haired boy was a girl. And then they said, "Oh, you got two boys." I said, "Oh my
lots
God!"
of curls on that head. There was
I
lots
can
of
relate to that. I have a grandson that everybody calls a girl because he has curly hair. Yeah, he's 4.
I had curly hair like
Yeah,
that
there
when
we
I was
go.
a kid. Yeah, but wasn't as cute as that guy. But good-looking kids. Very happy with him. Like I said, he said all the right things. He did all the right things. He was a little taken back by the pomp and circumstance that came along with winning the Masters. He said, I didn't know I was going to hang out with all the members all night and have dinner with them and all that stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's true. That's
But,
part of it.
but what a great tradition. Is there a better spectacle on TV than Sunday at the Masters?
No,
I don't think there is.
The answer is no. There's
Yeah.
not. As much as I love hoops and
Not
and,
for
and,
TV.
No,
There
yeah.
might soon be, whether, and I don't want to throw racing into it, but, there's a couple races that would be awesome if you were there or this.
The
but,
Indy 500.
But for the Masters, it's at the same spot every year. It's the same people you're having dinner with every year. It's pretty awesome. Pretty special.
And also, Ron, going to, being from Spain, I think that was a real motivator with Seve.
Seve's
and-
40th.
Yeah, exactly. And just the history and the motivation, and he embraces exactly what the PGA is. The more traditional golfer, and that he values those kind of things.
Man, did he lead you right into the next question?
LIV.
LIV.
But I got to say one thing. It was really cool that, do you know what John Rahm's caddy's number was?
I don't know.
49.
49.
And he won on 4-9, which is really cool.
there we go. Okay.
Yeah. All right. So, let's talk about LIV. Was it a good weekend for LIV? Was it a bad weekend for LIV? You know what my vote is. So.
Well, we know you hate LIV.
Yes,
but,
I do.
But outside of that, can you try to abstractly look at and say, was it a good weekend for him?
Well, I will say it was a good weekend for them. That they had Phil near the top, they had Koepka near the top. There was somebody else.
Patrick Reed.
Yeah,
3 out of the top 4.
I know you don't
Patrick
like
Reed
Patrick
doesn't. He doesn't count.
Except for he was top
he's a
4.
bulldog. Yeah.
Really?
Other than that, yeah. But I've talked about this before on there. They even made mention of it on the Golf Channel afterward. That now the other guys that are the Taylor Gooches and the players like that they're not getting world points now. They may have played in their last Masters. So there's going to be fewer and fewer LIV golfers that play unless they win.
Right. They had 18 playing in the field this year. Yeah.
And it might be 10 next year.
So I was watching this thing the other day. This is what I was kind of teasing with you earlier. And I've got the TV on. It was on the Bally channel where the Braves games are on, 884 in Comcast or whatever. And it was on, and I wasn't paying attention, and it was golf. And I'm listening to it, and it's like, this sounds like a 1952 government movie telling me why I should, go with this or go with that. And it was an LIV show called Breaking Par. So it's on the Bally channel, and it has multiple episodes, and it's kind of like a behind the scenes. They're not talking to golfers, but they're talking about, it's really weird. I used the words weird, interesting, and gimmicky when I saw it.
Gimmicky.
It was because it was clear. It was almost like an infomercial.
Right.
It was, I'm selling you on something.
Absolutely.
But if they had 3 guys in the top 4.
And I really wanted to say, hey, Koepka, you can't Can't play that fourth day. You know how that messes you up. But
can't-
then
yeah,
you got to look back
54 or,
at
you know,
yeah. But
you
you
got
look back at
72.
Phil, and Phil
Yeah.
had
Yeah.
what did he shoot? 66.
Right, but
65.
Phil,
65. Yeah.
Phil being the oldest guy, he's still not used to shooting only 3. So
So there was some cool things
Yeah,
happening.
that could be, Kenny, to your point, that could be in reaction to the Full Swing documentary that the PGA kind of sponsored and it leaned. I don't know if you've seen that or not, but it is more of a traditional, and it was put on by the PGA, and so that could be in response to their production about kind of hey, this is why we are who we are, and
Well, and in just a couple minutes that I watched, they showed where at LIV tournaments, but they don't all start on one, so they all end at the same time, and they all walk in to sign
It's a
their
team
scores.
thing, yeah.
They're going on.
And when the more they talked about, if I live golfers think we're all going to crash the green and do that, see, I would have been so upset about that.
No, absolutely. But the one thing that they did say when I wasn't paying attention to what I was watching was talking about sponsoring the teams on Live and saying, basically we're just looking for a billionaire who wants to get involved with some youth. So, they're already pandering to that. I thought it was very interesting.
So Robert texts me all the time during the weekend, Mark, and Robert said, "Are you on a bridge? Are you getting ready to jump off a bridge?" When Koepka was like 4 strokes up, because I didn't want Koepka.
I was worried.
Did you guys see that the Live guys were all wearing their team logos
Their logo,
on there?
Yeah. Which is fine because everybody wears their sponsors' logos.
But
so.
it's very interesting. We've been talking about all these tournaments banning somebody, but you guys just alluded to it, and they're not getting any points for playing in any of these things. So you don't have to ban them if they just don't.
They'll
make
weed
the list.
themselves out
They don't
eventually.
They
make
got
the list.
they get points for the majors.
Yeah, but
Correct.
that's not
But if
enough
they're
points to
all-
put them
No,
in the top
it's not.
50.
And if
Yeah.
you're only doing it 4 times a year, and maybe you have 2 bad tournaments this year, that's not going to bode well for how many you get invited to next time. So it's
And we'll see if they're ever let back in the PGA. I wonder if some of them would say, "Wow, I'm not going to be in the top 50 and I can't play in the majors."
well, and I'll say this: I did not do my homework, but I did see an article where they were talking about part of Phil Mickelson's deal was that if he leaves LIV, then he owes $800 million to LIV. So, almost like he's locked in and there's no chance of him leaving. So I don't know how true that is, but, if it is, well,
And we'll say
then
one more
there's
thing
nobody
about
moving
Liv.
anywhere.
Or I'll say one more thing about Liv. But everybody's talking about how Phil was so courteous and stuff and his pros. But I read that during the Champions Dinner, he didn't say a word to anybody. He just sat at the end of the table and didn't say a word.
But if you're Phil, I get it. I'm okay. Phil, he's the face of it all. And if you're sitting there and I'm the guy who signed the $200 million contract, and all of you hate me. Hey, I'm just gonna eat my food. I'm gonna smile, and I'm gonna go try to play golf for 72 holes. So I'm
Okay,
okay with that.
I've had my fill of Phil. So let's do our Bearcat commercial, Robert. I hated reading these last week. I like listening to you, Sue.
I watched the show just so I could feel it out a little bit. Do you need a delivery right now? As in go now, please? Bearcat Express has expedited shipping on hand-carried items, car, van, or pickup. Whether it's from Atlanta to Athens, Dothan to Augusta, Memphis to Charlotte, and any place in between, we've got the drivers to get your stuff where it needs to be. Whether your passport's still on the dresser, the 5-wood isn't in your bag, or you have a dog that hates to fly, Bearcat Express with their live tracking capabilities is the team to turn to. We are the go-to courier in the Southeast. Check us out at BearcatExpress.com. Nice shirt you're wearing, Chuck.
Thank you. My Bearcat Express shirt. Thank you, Blair Cook. And Blair, thank you as always for being a sponsor of the show. And next year, maybe in lieu of money, you can get me Master. That would be fine.
Or all of it.
There you go. All right, so on to baseball. What an interesting week in baseball. Braves 8-4, is that right?
Yep.
But lot shorter games. Is everybody loving the shorter games? Mark, are you a big baseball fan?
I have been in the past, not so much in the last couple of years, but yeah, shorter game I think is the attention span. I think that's the culture we live in. you get acclimated to the instant gratification, so to speak, of things that happen fast. I think baseball had to do something. I think that they were losing attendance, and they were getting a bad rap on the length, the absolute length, and they were losing the younger fans.
They were.
But the older fans still want to go and sit at the ballpark all day and drink beer. They don't really care about the length of the game.
Truly, yeah, exactly. But I think.
Go ahead.
No, one final thought. I was just going to say, I think it will. It's like anything else. When you change, it causes stress, and it causes coaches and players to have to adapt. But I think you're going to see that in a rather smooth transition. So I think even after the All-Star break, I think it'll be a moot point. I don't think that you'll hear much about it.
No, I think you're right. And I went to the game last night, so it was
did you?
So
Okay.
it was my first game watching the clock, and I'm sitting there. Just me and my daughter went, whose birthday is tomorrow.
Happy birthday.
She's turning 13. I might start drinking after this show. But what was crazy is I'm trying to explain to her all these rules, and she's like, "What? Why would they do this? Why would they do that?" I wanted to bring up something. Last year, the average game was 3 hours and 4 minutes long. This year, through Sunday, 2 hours and 38 minutes. So that is
24 minutes?
26 minutes different. And you say, well, this and the other. So I decided to just go back and look up something weird. So I went to the 1978 World Series. Okay? It's a 6-game series. Yankees lost the first 2 to the Dodgers, won the next 4. So what I like to call the delayed sweep. But the one game went extra innings, just 10 innings. But if we leave that game out of it, the average length of World Series games in 1978, 2 hours and 48 minutes, 2 hours and 37 minutes, 2 hours and 27 minutes, 2:56, and the final game was 2:34. So what we're talking about is we've gotten back to,
Yes.
it might not have seemed like much, but they added 3 years every year or 3 minutes every year for
Right.
so long. I think the game is at a good pace. You just have to kind of police it a little bit, and then I think it'll be standardized.
Well, I think the reason back then that the games were so short is the same pitcher pitched they had complete games.
Great point.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times they change. They change pitchers every inning now.
They didn't have Velcro either.
He's the setup guy, and he's the setup guy.
Specialization of pitching
Yeah.
has really extended it. Yeah.
Correct. But if you watch Pedroia or Garcia Parra or anybody else who every time they get a pitch, it's a ball outside. They step outside. They readjust every single, that is
They
where
spit.
the constant, and a lot of it is coming to, pitches coming in and out. But I think it's going to be for the good.
I do too. But I think if we had complete games now, they might be done in like an hour and a half.
Oh, yeah, if Maddox was around,
Yeah.
he could be pushing some envelopes.
Great
We'd be
point.
done by the time some people get to their seats. See,
That's right.
That's so let's talk a little bit about the Devil Rays because they're on quite the streak. 11 in a row.
Known as the Tampa Bay Rays now, right?
Yeah, they're not the
That's
Devil
what they
Rays
left out
anymore.
the devil part.
Yeah, they're just the
they
Rays.
finally
Yeah.
kicked the
They're
devil.
just the Rays. Yeah, they kicked the
but-
devil out.
So
yeah.
they're 2 games away from the Braves and the Brewers. Is
Yeah.
it Brewers?
That's correct.
Yeah, that is right.
Brewers record? Is that right?
That's correct. Brewers did it in 87.
Braves did it in 82. That's right.
And Brewers didn't even make the playoffs.
Neither did the Braves that year.
Braves did.
Did
Braves,
they? I thought I saw
Braves
read they
but,
didn't.
But that Brewers team ended up at one point losing 12 games in a row.
It was
that
the
same
Braves'
season.
first time.
Braves first time.
Yeah, they won 82-83.
I was at game 12 when they won.
I actually went to 11.
Did you?
Yeah.
You should have said hi. Oh, it was a day apart. Okay, yeah. So
I could have said hi, but my parents would have wondered, why are you talking to
this
that
guy, it's like I've been doing this sports talk show with him in 40 years. Yeah. Well, what was really cool was I went back and looked at their numbers. They've played, 11 games? They've only given up 20 runs.
Exactly.
And did you see how many home runs he's hit?
29.
Dumbest stat I've ever heard.
Wow, so, yeah. Are
How
they for
is that-
real? Just ask Boston last night, right? Oh, my goodness. Yeah.
Well, they've given up like 6 in a couple of games. So that tells you, I think they've had 4 shutouts.
But once again, and skipping ahead towards your question, are they for real? Yes, it is very difficult to win 11 games in a row. If you've hit 29 home runs and you've only given up 20 runs, that's incredible. That being said, they have played the dregs of society. These teams, what's that thing called in soccer? Relegation. If there was relegation in North American sports, these their first 3 teams on their schedule wouldn't be Major League Baseball teams. That's how bad they are. So, but you got to beat who you've got to beat. So, stockpile the wins while you can. This is not going to be a team that challenges records or anything else. Definitely won't happen.
But very impressive so far. I hope they get there. I'd like to
impressive.
see a new record
So
in baseball.
not only super impressive, the fourth worst team is one more series away. So they get the Reds. And so, there's a chance 4 out of the first 6 series they play are against the worst teams. They could come out of this easily with an 18-2.
But Boston's not that bad of a club.
We don't think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you're talking about based on today's numbers.
Based on going into the year, how you finished last year, what you did in free agency, the Tigers are awful. The Nationals are awful. The A's are the worst team in baseball, and those were their first 3.
Well, then let's put that same test to the Braves. They beat the Nationals. They're beating the Reds, but they got clobbered by the Padres.
Well, we beat them the first game, and then we got our
lost
our
a
blood
close
handed to 'em.
game. Like, game 2 was close.
That's correct.
But
That's
got beat by
correct.
1. But then they got beat pretty well in the last 2. Yeah.
Yep. So I'm happy with my Padres pick to win the World Series. It's early yet, but we'll see. Don't point at me. I've had it with you.
I'm a
Go back
Braves-
on vacation.
I'm a Braves fan. You can't be talking smack about San Diego.
So tell me about your Braves. Are you happy with them?
Absolutely. It's all about our young pitching. So young pitching isn't how you do anything in April. So I'm not really worried about it.
They took a hit. Ian Anderson.
Ian Anderson was gone before the start of the regular season, so
Yeah.
that
No,
was
it's
a
Tommy
hit.
Johns, I think, yesterday.
Tommy John, they announced yesterday. So
We've had 2 rookie starters already come to toe the rubber as well. So we'll be fine. I like to say, or baseball people like to say, you can't win the pennant in April, but you can sure as
Certainly
hell
lose
lose it. So we're not in worry of anything like that.
no, we're not.
Plus, they can score runs. They're
They can score runs.
going to score runs. Yeah.
But getting back to Tampa, they're scoring almost 7 runs a game.
Tampa right now through 11 games has
83 runs, right?
Correct. They have a plus 63 in run differential, which is a great stat. Maybe not so much for the first 2 weeks of the season, but that is the 3rd highest one ever. Now, the other years, 1884, the St. Louis Maroons, 1884, the New York Gothams, and 1876, the Hartford Dark Blues. Those are the only other teams.
I have never heard of any of those
Well, of
teams.
course you
I'm a
have.
big fan of the Dark Blues.
You like the Dark Blues?
Yeah.
I knew Larry had a Gotham's jersey, but I wasn't going to get into that. But I mean, if you're on a list with a bunch of teams from 150 years ago, you're doing something pretty impressive.
That's true. That's a good point.
You are. So baseball's off to a good start. It seems like everybody's happy. I heard a question, will they have the same rules for the playoffs that they do for the regular season? Surely they won't have the ghost runner at second base in the playoffs.
No, and they would never have that. It's just the only question for baseball right now is the time. But I would say no, but I listened to somebody the other day and he said, you got to. You can't, tell a kid to do this, and then just do whatever you want to. So I think it's here to stay. I think they're going to probably go with it.
I hope they do.
I think they will.
Do you? I'm glad you do.
Hey, also, did you guys hear about Jordan Walker? Jordan Walker is the
Oh, the
outfielder.
rookie from the Cardinals?
That is correct. He's got 11 hits, or he's got a hit in every game for the first 11 games of his career. Second one all time. The only other person was Eddie Murphy. No,
Not
not
the
that
comedian.
one. It was Eddie Murphy from 1912. But the guy who's third on the list is Ted Williams from 1939. So
When you're in the same company with the Splinter, you're in high cotton.
That's
whether
exactly
it be
right.
Donkey and the Splendid Splinter, you're on a heck of a list.
I like my favorite Eddie Murphy movie was oh God, what's the
Coming
one
to
with
America.
with Dan Aykroyd and
Trading
Jamie Lee Curtis,
Places.
Trading Places.
Oh, love that.
Love that movie, funny movie, but different Eddie Murphy, as you said. So that's good. I think Tampa has Boston again tonight, right?
And then I think they go Blue Jays and then the Reds. So
Yeah.
but once again, you can
Blue
only
Jays
play
are
who you
right
can
behind
play.
them.
You can only play who you can play. So.
I think Blue Jays are 8-4. So
Blue Jays are looking good.
yeah, so they're right behind them. But I'd like to see them get to the 14. I think that would be neat to have a new record.
No, that's stuff's dying now. You can't pick the Padres while I'm wearing Braves. You can't take the Rays over the Braves record. The Braves have this record. Won't happen. I guarantee it. I'm guaranteeing.
Oh, wait.
Unlike the guarantee that
Jimmy Butler
gave yesterday, this guarantee will definitely happen.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that right now. Let's do that before
Let's do it.
we get into some Supreme Lending. So we talked about basketball a little bit last week. We didn't think 17 people on the TV picked the Heat to beat the Hawks last night. Didn't happen. I actually watched the game. First Hawks game I watched all year. They showed a lot of hustle. They out-rebounded them by, 24, 26?
It was an incredible rebounding performance.
69 to 23 or something like that. 63-29, that's what it was. And they had 7 players in double figures or 8 players in double figures. And I was most impressed with Bogey Bogdanovic. I just like saying his name, but I saw him crash the boards many times. And Capella had 21 rebounds, is that right?
Capella did have 21 boards.
Yeah. So that means we go up against Boston, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was a mindset last night too. I think I was really impressed with how Snyder had them attacking. They were very aggressive, hence the differential rebounds on the board. I mean, that's just hustle.
That's hard work, right?
We used to call it hustle, effort, and desire. We'd even give a trophy for that at the end of the year. But it was one of those deals where when you have that kind of differential, you know that you're getting a maximum effort out of your people.
So as a coach like that, Mark, do you find yourself more critical of the coaching and what's going on?
Not really. I'm one that kind of gives coaches the benefit of the doubt because I'm not in practice. I respect the fact I worked for 3 summers. I worked with the Atlanta Hawks back in the late '80s, early '90s, and so I got a real appreciation of we had some other coaches that would come in town during the summers, and we were at Woodward Academy with high school athletes from around the country. A lot of them were. But I had a real appreciation for how good those guys are. I mean, they really are. That's a finite group of coaches, right? How many teams in the NBA? 32, I think.
32,
yeah,
I think.
Yeah. And so you've got 32 guys that are head coaches, and that's 32 of the most prestigious jobs in the world.
That is the greatest coach speak that I've ever heard in my life. When he says he's not going to do it because he knows it's happened to him where people are grading him.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to start
I haven't
judging.
been in his practice or whatever, but I'm telling you, I was at that time. Mike Fratello was the head coach of the Hawks, but
sure.
Yeah, I mean he was incredible. But Mike had a tree of coaches that underneath him.
Tree Rollins of coaches?
Well, tree was part of it. But as far as his coaching tree, there's a lot of them, and those guys became head guys later in the NBA, but. I'm not going through all their names, but the fact of the matter is, that speaks a lot for how good he was and things. But I just had a real appreciation and knowledge, and it was good to be around him.
Let me ask you guys this: how do you like the play-in format? Because you understand that whoever lost last night's game
plays Friday night,
gets to host Friday night's game against tonight's winner.
Because the 9 and 10s are playing tonight, right?
9 and 10s,
that's
and whoever wins the 9-10 games will play at the loser of last night's game.
Who becomes the 8th seed.
That is correct.
Yeah,
I think it's
an interesting concept.
It is.
It's
It
getting
really
more
is.
teams involved in the playoffs. That's what it basically does.
So I had another stat I wanted to share with you, Chuck, because I know you're doom and gloom when
Robert's a digger. Have you noticed that, Mark?
Well,
I have. Yeah, that's awesome.
He's got his head down about his Atlanta Hawks quite often. He's not very
They're a
positive
500
about it.
basketball team.
But do you know that they were the 3rd highest scoring team this season? I mean, is it incredible that they're like a half a point from being the 2nd highest scoring team? Now, we can't cover anybody. We can't block anything.
Can't guard anybody,
But
right?
let me ask somebody who knows a lot about coaching. Does that put us even close to the precipice? Do you just look at this roster and you go, okay, give me a couple defenders and let's see how we mix?
Well, here's my opinion.
Or is it a turn the whole thing over again?
Well, here's my. Oh, you were talking to him.
Yeah, the guy
Oh,
who
I'm
actually
sorry.
coached.
No,
Now, go ahead,
I
Mark.
tell you what, you got to, and there again, it goes back to I believe on the defensive end, there is technique, obviously there is, but I'm telling you, if you have a mindset, hustle, effort, and desire, those 3 words are the epitome of a great defender. And at that level, and with that athleticism, those guys can defend. It's just a matter, if they choose to defend for an extended. And here's the deal: an extended period of time. You know, to score like you score, if you're a scorer, you have to be on the floor. And so, therefore, you don't expend the energy on that defensive
other
end.
side.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's a mindset that a coach can come in, like Snyder. He can come in and hopefully get their attention. And, you know, hey, this works, guys. And then what happens, they start, the buy-in happens when they see it working. And, therefore, they beat a Boston. They take a game at the Garden, you know, and they go, whoa, wait a minute. And then they come
Not
back and,
happening.
you know, and then well, you know, everybody says it's not going to happen, but there were a lot of, you know, prognosticators last night that thought there was no way that they could win down
They'd
in
win
Miami.
that game, yeah. Yeah. Well, they had lost 7 straight there.
That's
going
correct.
into last
That's
night, and
absolutely
they
right.
lost 3 out of 4 to them this year, right?
Yeah. Now, I'm not predicting, you know, the
Yeah.
Hawks will beat the Celtics. I'm not in a series. But, you know, if you stole a game or two and then go into the summer, get your pieces, find some guys that can defend, you know, that want to defend. You know, to be honest with you, though, I wasn't familiar with that stat. That's an impressive stat, scoring-wise. It really is.
Well, you know, I just I don't know.
Well, speaking of predicting, we had a lot more else to talk about. But
We do.
Robert says, let's make our picks right now. Who we think are going to be in the NBA Finals?
Before the season, you got to do it before the playoffs started.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I didn't pick anybody who lost in the first round.
Exactly right. Exactly.
Yeah,
I know my brain would lie to me. So
yeah. Well, I'll go ahead and give mine.
okay.
I think Boston's going to win the East. I think they got enough offense to overcome any defense they play against. And in this year of upsets, when like FAU's making the Final Four and stuff, I'm going to go with the Golden State Warriors. I think with Wiggins back and everybody back together and melding, I'm going to go with the Warriors. And I think they're the 4th-rated team right now.
From Vegas, they're number 5.
Number 5. So I'm going to take I'll take the Warriors and the Celtics.
Well, you know what's interesting about the Warriors is they're playing the Kings to start out, and the Kings just broke the longest drought in
Not being in the playoffs.
for not being in the playoffs. And you know who's number 1 now? Jets, Jets. But did you know that's the most expensive ticket ever? Not a finals ticket. This is the most expensive basketball ticket ever. Game 1.
Kings and the Warriors?
Kings and Warriors.
Wow.
How much money is
Oh, because it's in Sacramento.
It's in
Yeah.
Sacramento, and it's been so long. These people have just been putting their money
They're
in the
very hungry.
piggy
Yeah,
bank
right,
for
exactly.
years and years and years.
All right, Mark, who you got, bro?
You know, I disagree. I think the Bucks will take the Celtics in a final series of the East. And then I you know what, I'm going to say that Phoenix. I believe that, you know, that it's hard to pick against KD. I believe he is as tough as anybody, and then Booker is playing well. You know, I think those two. I think the longevity. I think especially in the West. I think to your point, I think there's 2 teams in the East, and we've talked in Boston and Milwaukee. But I think in the West, I think you got 5. I think you got 5 that can go, and veterans and people that, you know, and you know, stranger things have happened. I mean, LA has really stunk it up, but they have a piecemeal bargain basement before the deadline group of veterans, and I'm telling you, when you get those talented guys and they are on a mission, they're a hard out, you know.
And the Lakers they've all been there enough times to where, you know, it doesn't matter that they're a 7 or an 8 or anything else.
Correct.
They can play, and
Yeah.
they're not worried about it.
But can they sustain it? Can they play the minutes? I don't know.
The
you know.
AD and LeBron,
maybe
somebody
for a
will be
round.
hurt.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I think they might be able to pull off the first round
Maybe.
victory, but
Yeah,
but
I'm
not too
going.
much
I'm
further.
going Phoenix and Milwaukee, and then I'm leaning toward Phoenix in the finals. I
Well, we'll
don't-
have to have you back on later in the
Exactly.
playoffs
Yeah,
and see where we are.
exactly. Yeah,
All
yeah.
right, Mark, make your picks. I mean, what's your name, Robert?
Whatever the hell
Okay,
you are.
we got other things to talk about.
So, I'm going Suns over. As you said, there's only 2 teams in the East. I'm going with the 3rd team in the
Oh,
East.
okay.
I'm going the Sixers.
Oh wow.
You
Okay.
know,
it could be.
Believer in Joel
Joel-
Embiid.
Yeah,
Joel,
Embiid,
you
that's
know,
right.
You never can tell.
The MVP last year.
But
ATI's got something he wants to say.
I was gonna go with I was considering the Suns and Denver. You know, Jokic has played well, Jamal Murray's played well, but I think I'll go with the Suns and the Bucks.
Suns and the Bucks. Not a bad two.
who's taking it home? Who's cutting
The Bucks.
Bucks.
And I didn't say who I was saying home, but I'm going to Boston. I think Boston will overcome Golden State.
And just before we jump this ship, Mavericks went 9-18 with Kyrie Irving.
Yeah, I saw that stat. Yeah,
Do we
that's
do
crazy.
we cut base and
Well,
bait and just run?
They've already been accused of bailing on the last 2 games.
I
so-
heard something about they might trade Luka.
Yep. All right, let's get on to our second commercial. We're way behind today.
We're so
Supreme
far behind.
Lending.
Supreme Lending was founded in 1999 with one goal in mind, to improve the mortgage process. Since then, we've been doing just that. Here we deliver exceptional service and some of the fastest turn times in the industry. Our team will stay in touch with you throughout the process and get your home closed quickly and conveniently. Whether you are buying or refinancing, our goal is to have your loan clear to close in 30 days or less so that you can focus on all of the other things that you need to. Whether it's your first mortgage or your 1,000th, make it Supreme. Find us on the web at Alvin Jameson or give us a call at 865-357-6500.
Thank you, Alvin Jameson, for being a sponsor of the Three Guys and the Owl Show coming up at 7 o'clock. We started this thing a couple of weeks ago, Mark, about who were the greatest athletes that wore certain jersey numbers. And obviously we started with one, and we're moving on to two. So, Robert, what you got?
I'm going the captain. I told you there was no way I was going the captain, but you look at these numbers and you're like, I might hate.
You changed your mind, huh?
No, I never formulated it. There's no way I could vote. It's like I can't press the button. I might hate Jeter, but Jeter is unbelievable. How many World Series have the New York Yankees won since 1978? Which, just for the record, is how I know how long all those 1978 World Series games were. But 0 without him.
Right.
Without Jeter?
Yeah.
Without Jeter. He's been on every, it's the best franchise of all time. He's the captain. He only, in 3 years, if you take away the very first year, which, he get called up in late September, only 3 times did he play less than 145 games. And one of them was like 137. But, I mean, he's out there every single game. He's, number 6 all-time in hits, number 10 in runs, reached the 200 hit plateau 8 times, and then once again, he was always the cool, confident one. The reason why you hated pinstripes if you were me, so I got to give it up to the captain. Pains me to say it, but I had to give it up to the
Because
captain.
I thought you told me 2 weeks ago, you'll never believe they're ever going to pick for number 2. But you went. Mark, how about you?
No, that's who I had. I really did. I think, when you talk about what you did, the difference maker, and I totally agree with that. 260 home runs from a shortstop. I mean, and hit at 310 is a lifetime average. That in Hall of Famer, obviously. But the common denominator with that one is this. When you win championships, the player that is responsible are the common denominator in all those championships. That's truly an MVP Hall of Famer.
Absolutely.
And so I've got Derek Jeter.
I can't agree. I probably should, but I can't.
We've almost talked him into it.
How many times did
He's got Moses Malone, who he's got.
That's exactly who I had.
That's exactly. That was
who
my
I've
number
got.
2. That was my number 2.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Well, he's number 2. That's why he was your number
That's
2.
my
Right?
number 2,
Okay.
yeah.
So Moses won the MVP 3 times. The league MVP. Derek Jeter never won the league MVP.
Nope.
He won the
That's-
MVP
that's right, of the
of
series.
the playoffs,
Yeah.
but he never won the MVP of the league.
Correct.
So I'm going with the big man, Moses.
I used to love watching the post-game interviews with Moses. Those were always the greatest. So,
he
can
was
you tell me what
fantastic.
happened? Well, Moses got the ball, and Moses knew they were looking on his left, so Moses faked right, and then Moses. Nobody's ever done third person quite as well as the guy. Not to mention the fact that I believe he missed probably 1,000 shots on
purpose, right.
just to get an offensive
Just to
rebound.
get it.
That's right. That's
He
exactly.
had so much room. He just threw it against the backboard.
Yes. Yeah.
I can waste the rest of the clock if you want me
Absolutely.
to, Coach.
Yeah,
he
that's
was
it.
impressive.
Yeah.
So Adam, would you make it a tie, or are you a Jeter guy too?
No, I'm
Oh,
gonna
no, wait. Yeah.
tell you you're all wrong.
Yeah,
Okay.
Waste your time. Go ahead with this number 2 racing guy.
Mario Andretti, the most iconic driver of all time. He's
More
led
than
the most.
Richard-
He's
more
led
than
some of the most
Richard Petty?
laps.
Out of all the different names you could say that we could mock you for, we all have a hard time mocking Mario Andretti.
There you go.
Yeah. That's right.
Yep. If it were a real sport, it would mean something. So, all right. So who are the other great number 2s? There were a lot of number 2s that we didn't even talk about.
There were some good number 2s.
Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah.
How about Matty Ice?
Yeah, absolutely. Locally,
Greatest
yeah, there
number
you
2
go. That's
here.
it. Yeah, that's exactly
Yeah.
right. Kevin Garnett.
Kevin Garnett was 2. He did he stay with Minnesota his whole career?
No, he went to Boston.
That's
and
right. He went
That's
to Boston.
exactly
That's
That
right.
was
Yeah,
that
yeah.
that
it.
triumphant.
Yeah. Well,
Oh,
and
that's right.
And the glove. Gary Payton. Oh, speaking of defense, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
The glove, I tell you.
I love that
That
nickname.
boy was good.
Yeah, but Matty Ice, we'll talk about him real quick. Does he belong in the Hall of Fame?
He will get into the Hall of Fame. He checks so many boxes, and I understand it's not the same game as it was in the 60s or the 70s, but when you're top 10, top 10, top 10, top 10, and if you are thoughtful enough to actually look at it and analyze it and go, he did win MVP and get a 28-3 lead. If you can hold on to a 28-3 lead, he's a Super Bowl MVP in the year he's an MVP.
And he's locked.
And this city's not on the schneid anymore. So, I don't think we can hold him quite so accountable for that. I believe he is.
As Shanahan would be my
I
goat for that.
Wow. Yeah. Absolutely.
I'm going with the defensive coordinator for the Cowboys as far as my goat on that one.
The Cowboys.
Yes. He was our head coach at that point.
Oh,
Dan Quinn?
Dan Quinn. Yeah. Okay. All right. I'll go with Shanahan, but that's fine. Yeah. So a lot of good number twos.
Rick Barry, the underhanded
Oh,
foul shooter.
that's somebody that I almost considered. The underhanded free throw shooter. You remember you talked about him before?
1978 champion. Yeah. 8-time All-Star.
Whose son played college ball where?
All sorts of places because he had like 5 of them.
Yeah.
One of them was
The most important one.
One was at Tech.
John
One
Barry, there
one
you
was
go.
at North Avenue. Yeah.
Yep,
That's it.
there you go.
Yeah.
But he did have like 4 kids, I believe, who played
ball.
at a very
I think
high level.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
He was a great athlete too. I like Rick Barry. I can't remember who else were on the list. I said Kawhi Leonard. There were some others that were on the
Roberto
number 2 list.
Alomar, I think.
Yeah, Roberto Alomar was one. Yeah.
You know what's crazy about somebody like Kawhi? If Kawhi somehow won a championship for the Clippers, you'd have to look at him and he would vault even to people who don't know anything. He won a championship with this team. He was the best player. He won a championship with this team. He was the best. He won it. That's never happened before. He's already at the highest level. He's won 2. So
Yeah.
2 different teams.
Yeah. I like it when we all don't have the same one. It makes for a better discussion.
I can't wait for number 3. Some of you already know.
Number 3? I can't even think of who number 3 is.
Dale Murphy, probably, right?
That would be my mom's vote.
Yeah, that's
Probably
it.
not mine, but yeah. Speaking of number 3, we've got our third
Commercial of the day.
commercial of the day. Yeah.
Modern Image is a locally owned document and photograph scanning company that helps clients secure and use paper files and photos. Whether it's important business files or sentimental family photos and videos, Modern Image is dedicated to helping clients solve problems around paper.
Go Dogs.
Go Dogs. You even said it right. Hey,
I
just
hate
on,
that.
on that same level, since you just said Go Dogs, anybody who's going to check out the spring game, you get a new dog this year.
Yeah.
Boom.
Boom.
The 10-month-old English Bulldog, also known as Uga 11.
I'll go 11. Yeah, I tell you,
I just hope, for God's sakes, and I know that they don't, you got to sprinkle in a little different bloodline. When you look at, the royalty from Europe, if we've learned nothing else, look at Prince Charles or King Charles, and then look how good his kids look when you mixed in a little dye. You went away from the family tree, and
That can only go up.
it could only go up. But it had to. And if you keep, if your tree has no limbs, then your dogs aren't going to live very long.
Are we genuinely wasting time talking about an English Bulldog on the show?
We're just leading up to the big thing that you've been dying for.
There's things I've been dying for. Well, don't forget, there are 2 other spring games going on this weekend, too.
A big one right around the corner.
Big one. KSU is Friday night. I think it's 7 o'clock. Georgia Tech is during the day, I think, on Saturday. No, Georgia's during the day. I think Tech's Saturday night, if I remember correctly. But I don't know. But football is back, and it seems like it just left.
It did just leave.
It just leaves. And now some of the coolest things. So let's talk a little bit about the Falcons. We got a couple more minutes before we get into our next talking about our show from 2 weeks from today. But Falcons made a big trade today. Traded a 5th-round pick for Okuna. Is that his name?
Correct. He was
cornerback.
the number 3 overall pick. And so, you can say, well, he's a bust, and he has been a bust. And Who did we get him from? The Lions.
Detroit.
Detroit knew they weren't going to re-sign him, so if they could get anything for him, that's a great deal. And I personally think that's a great flyer for a fifth-round pick,
Absolutely, it is.
absolutely.
Low risk, high reward for sure.
especially with a defensive-minded coach.
Right,
You know?
and with a player that's playing for another contract, so he's highly motivated as well, and so hopefully it'll all work out for both of them.
And one more thing on that. A lot of times, and I don't know exactly where Detroit was when they made that pick, but he was probably supposed to be the number one corner. He's not the number one corner on this team, so he gets to settle into an easier role. And
Detroit's picked up a couple of defensive backs, but Falcons have done a lot
we've done
in free
a
agency.
ton.
So are we already better? Are we already a playoff team?
Answers better for sure. Yes.
Yeah.
way better.
And better with depth, if nothing else. I mean,
That's true. Now that we've taken Okuna, is taking a cornerback at 8 off the board?
Corner?
Yeah.
God, please don't ever take another top 10 cornerback. It doesn't matter how good they cover if you can't rush the passer. We haven't been able to rush the passer in
Well, I've
50
seen
years,
several
so-
drafts where we were taking a corner.
Yeah, I think it's a rethink anyway. They always say the best athlete available, but it's really a positional need. And I think putting pressure on the passer is got to be a paramount need, for they get the kid out of Texas Tech, the edger, because Anderson from Alabama won't be there at 8.
And what about Jalen Carter? Do you believe he'll be gone as well?
I think Seattle will take a flyer on him.
At
I really
6?
do. At
It's
6. I really,
6,
yeah, at 6. I think so.
I've heard the guy from Clemson, the edge rusher from Clemson, is going to be the Falcons
there's a
guy.
long pedigree coming from that college, so
Yeah, we
whether-
took
whether
one from there a couple of years ago, and he didn't turn out so well.
No.
He led the league 1 year.
One
Yeah, but 1 year, and that was it.
That's probably back to that
1 year.
coaching staff.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, speaking of the NFL draft, in 2 weeks from today, we are going to have our own draft show. We're going to have 10 guest GMs on the show to make a pick 10 through 1, or actually, in this case, 1 through 10. So we need to go ahead and pick where these people are going to be picking, so they have a couple of weeks to plan. Robert came up with a great idea yesterday that he and I should not pick, that we should just sit here and laugh and make fun of everybody else that makes picks.
Well, the way we were doing it with Chuck, we were going to have to be quiet for a really long time, and we're not good with
We're
being
not good
quiet.
with that, no. So that's so I guess we can do this. Larry, we're going to need somebody to write this down if you can. Or,
I'm writing them.
all right, cool, all right. So what we're going to do is, since Mark's not going to be a GM, we're going to let him pick. So we should pick the guy that's going to make the
First,
10th pick.
Okay.
Yeah, let's
okay.
do it in reverse order.
Okay.
So we've got 10 cards here. Here's our owners: Rick Limpert, Farrell Middleton, Adam Crooks, better known as ATI, Marlon Longacre, Rory Christian, not Christine, making fun of Larry, Zach Hyatt, Brent Rittersdorf, and David McDonough, one of our sponsors, and Jay Wilson. And Ian King was our guest last week, and I think that's it. So let me shuffle these up. And
And just for the record, Chuck was reading all of those upside down. Not sure why, but
well, they were all kind of mixed. They weren't all upside down.
Okay.
some of them were, yeah. All right.
I was impressed.
As was I. I noticed the same thing.
All right. So making the 10th pick, which is who is currently now the 10th pick? Let's pull up that.
Yeah, let's do that.
Mainly because that'll fill up a little time. The 10 draft picks, I know Bears gave up number 1 to someone. Robert's pulling it up.
The Panthers.
The Panthers are number 1, yeah. And there's a lot of talk that Arizona is going to move out of the 3 spot
Number
or move
10
up to the 3 spot.
Number 10 is those pesky Philadelphia Eagles. They got this pick from New Orleans.
So whoever we pick right now will be picking in the 10th spot, currently the Eagles.
Currently the
But
Eagles.
you're responsible for the 10th pick, not the Eagles.
That is correct. You are drafting 10th, not for the Eagles.
All right. Brent Rittersdorf, you will be making the last pick of the draft, of our draft. We're only going to pick
And-
1 through 10.
And just so that we all understand this, Brent is going to have to abide by whatever the first 9 guys take. And
So
he
he's
will
got
be-
the toughest job.
He does have the toughest job. He's got to do at least a list of at least 10.
And if there's anybody that I trust to do that, it's Brent.
That's good.
Well,
That's
that's
the
Brent's,
perfect person
Brent's a
then.
big NFL guy. So we got Brent at 10.
Number 9.
ATI said he wants number 1. Are you surprised at that?
No.
I want to be first.
He wants the easiest job.
Rory Christian.
Rory Christian will be drafting for the 9 spot, currently held by the Chicago Bears, a pick they got from Carolina when they
Moved
made that
from
trade.
3 down to, was it 2 down?
1.
1 down to 9, that's right. So, Rory Christian. I won't tell Rory you misspelled his name.
Here's a big one.
Here's a number 8. You're responsible for the Falcons. No. David McDonough. Which,
Oh, I was gonna screw the Falcons over so bad.
well, you
it
know
was
what
gonna
really
be great.
you know what really cracks me up this with? You won't screw him up worse than David. David's the biggest New Orleans Saints fan you've ever met in your life. So he'll be screwing up the Falcons.
Dang it.
I was gonna pick a Purdue player.
A basketball player.
No, a football player. We have football players in the draft.
So maybe they could.
He'll get a Division III or NAIA player from out
maybe,
west.
maybe David will trade with somebody, but he might like that.
I will say this. I've seen a couple mock drafts, and my spidey senses have been tingling. I have a feeling we're not drafting 8th.
I think we're moving up.
I think we're going to move up to
All right. Number 7, who is currently
the Vegas Raiders.
Marlon Longacre.
That's a perfect one for Marlon. He's a preacher, and we need to bring a little sense and sensibility to Las Vegas.
Yeah. So Adam, you still got a shot at number 1
I know.
here, buddy. Here we go.
Now he's getting ready to get the Lions pick.
Is this the Lions?
This
at
would
6?
be number 6, the Detroit Lions that they got from the Rams. So this is part of the Stafford. This is a
Goff,
big pick.
yeah.
Goff trade. Yeah. Yeah. All right.
The Crooks.
Lions. Adam Crooks.
I'll take it.
Hey, number 6. You're in the number 6 spot.
So Adam's got to do a little work too. All these guys are getting the work's getting less as we go along.
that's right.
Now I know why Adam wanted number 1. He wouldn't have to work any. He was just, okay, I'm gonna take this guy. All right, 5 more. Who we up to, Robert?
We are the Seattle Seahawks from Denver.
The Seattle Seahawks from Denver. Making that pick will be Zach Hyatt, American Woodsman. Zach's been a guest on the show before.
Yes, he has.
So Zach will be making the 5th pick.
Making the 5th pick currently for the Seahawks. But once again, you'll be drafting from the 5 spot no matter
Who
if
it
it gets
is.
traded, and you can't use whoever was taken with the first 4 picks.
You're responsible for the 5th pick, not necessarily the Seahawks. Number 4.
The big one that everybody keeps talking about, the trade with the Colts. Who takes?
Who do you think got it?
I don't know who's
Our
left.
guest from last week. Ian King. Ian, you'll be picking for the Indianapolis Colts currently, that 4th pick.
Ian's going to like that pick.
Ian will like that
He
pick.
is going to pontificate quite well on that subject.
There's nothing that Ian doesn't pontificate well on.
Now, this is the actual most interesting spot in the draft because everybody keeps talking about trading up to number 4 to get the Colts, but you've got a total garbage fire in Arizona who they've kind of come out in the last couple of days and said, we're listening. So I think this one is probably going to turn over. I don't think it'll be the Cardinals.
But for now, it is the Cardinals at number 3.
And either way, it's going to be the number 3 pick.
Jay Wilson.
Jay Wilson, drafting 3rd.
I know you won't believe this, but Larry has friends, and it's one of Larry's friends.
Larry has friends?
Yeah, Jay Wilson. And
Okay, so he's got he's got friend.
no Rory Chastain too. but-
Oh, okay.
So he's got 2 friends.
And I even got a Purdue friend.
All right, number 2,
Number 2, currently the Texans.
Rick Limpert. Rick. Oh, you know what? And before I forget, we didn't even talk about our Masters winner. And I got to do that when we get off the boat.
Unbelievable.
I know it. All right. So Rick Limpert. Rick is with Sports Tech. He actually got to go to the introduction thing
Right.
today. Rick gave us some prizes for the Masters thing. So
Well, that's a heck of a pick. If you're Houston, boy, it'll be interesting to see what gets left for you.
yep. And Carolina's pick, number 1, will be Farrell Middleton.
Can I trade?
If you talk to Farrell and talk him into it, yeah. So there's our lineup, and that's pretty cool. And speaking of the Masters, we'll get back to that because you know who won our tournament?
We had a contest, and I want to say the reason why we're sitting at this table is the guy taking home all the money.
Steve Pearson. My buddy Steve Pearson won the Masters golf tournament. Give him a hand over there, Larry.
And for him, we got to play his alma mater. The music you heard earlier.
Murray State.
The racers.
So Steve raced to the lead, and he hung on.
No, he didn't race to it because my buddy Tom.
Oh, B. Thomas B.
B. Thomas B. He was right there, and interestingly enough, the guy who won our bowl picks is Tom's roommate. So we were almost there, getting ready to just give more money to that same house.
Well, what's funny is Steve called me and said, "Why didn't nobody change after your guy didn't make the cut? I didn't know you could."
Oh,
I
no, it was
tried
locked.
because I had Zalatoris.
I did.
I tried and I couldn't change.
No,
Did you
it's
try
locked.
to do it before the tournament or after?
No,
the
because I
second
didn't.
round?
I didn't realize he had withdrawn until
Until it had already
until I was sitting there on hole 2, and his group came
But
through,
that's-
and his name wasn't on the board.
But that's Friday, right?
No, that was
Thursday.
Thursday.
Oh, because you couldn't change until after the cut.
I tried to change after the cut, and I
Did you?
couldn't change either.
Well, Steve was going to win anyway. He did. He had some good picks.
He did. He did. He had
Right.
the winner.
So not only that, he gets $25 gift card from here at Miller's Ale House, but he's also got a gift package, which Rick gave us last year. You still have that, don't you, Larry?
Yeah.
All right. So it's got like head covers and stuff, and it's a pretty good package. But man, we had a full show today, Robert.
We did. We did. And you know what? We left off hockey, and I've got a real quick ATI question right as we're walking out the door, because ATI is such a hockey guy. So, yesterday, Connor McDavid scored his 151st point in this season. Phil Esposito and Steve Yzerman, I tried to combine their two names, are the two Hall of Famers right above them. The top 13 spots for most points for a single season are only done by the top 2 guys. Who are those 2 guys?
Gretzky.
I'm guessing one's Gretzky.
And who's the other one? He had cancer. He had cancer and persevered.
Oh, I was thinking Crosby.
No, not Mason Crosby.
His
Sidney
predecessor,
Crosby.
Sidney Crosby.
Mario, Super Mario.
Mario Lemieux.
I don't know.
Out of the top 13 scoring seasons of all time, how many does Gretzky have?
I'm going to go with like 12.
He has 9 of the top 11.
That's pretty
Are
strong.
you freaking kidding me? The stats just don't even make sense. You can't compare him to anybody else.
Well, thanks for that
He's the great
tidbit
one.
as we go away.
Hey, ATI didn't get one.
There you go.
But I
Because we
got
had
Gretzky.
We asked him hockey, but
I got the first part of the question.
Yeah.
I got Wayne Gretzky.
Yeah, that was a
good.
toughie.
Yeah, that was the point 2 part.
Yeah. And just for NHL purposes, go Avs. I'm a big Avalanche fan. So,
I'll go Lightning. I really like what they did a couple years ago.
well, the Avalanche played the Lightning last year in the finals, right? Yep. I wouldn't mind seeing that again. All right, guys. Mark, thanks, buddy, for being on.
Thank you for
That
having
was a
me.
blast.
Thank you. Nice meeting
And,
you.
Robert?
Thanks.
Good show, buddy. And don't forget, Steve, once again, congratulations. And, guys, take care of yourselves. Know your numbers. Cover your ass. Get your prostate checked. See you next week on Three Guys Who Love Sport.